A small room. Late afternoon light leaning against the wall. Dust floating. A wooden chair that has learned the shape of her back. Her fingers tremble, not from weakness, just from memory. A kettle clicks off in the kitchen. No one moves to pour it. She looks at the doorway, and then she says it. This is my last child. Not loud, not dramatic, just there. The words hang in the air like steam that doesn't know where to go. For a second, no one understands. 73 years old. The clock on the wall ticks too clearly. Outside, a car passes. Inside, her mouth curves into something that isn't quite a smile and isn't quite relief. Only after that does the name settle in the room. Thoko Ntshinga. You know the face. The voice that has carried grief on stage so convincingly, people forgot it was acting. But this isn't a stage. No script in her lap. No director saying, again. She rubs her palms together. Slow. I thought I was done, she says. A pause. Done with that part of my life. She laughs, but it's uneven. Short. Almost embarrassed. At 73, most people talk about endings. She talks about arrival. A child. Her last. The sentence sounds impossible. It sits there anyway. Someone shifts in their seat. Are you serious? She nods. Serious like the wrinkles around her eyes. Serious like the quiet after funerals. Serious like mornings when you wake up, and your bones remind you of every year you've lived. She doesn't explain biology. Doesn't defend herself. Doesn't offer a neat timeline. She just says, happiness doesn't check your age before it knocks. And then she looks away, as if even that is too much philosophy for one afternoon. Silence. A curtain moves slightly. Light touches her cheek. There's something different about her posture. Not younger. Not lighter. Just open. I held the baby, she says. Her voice drops. So small. I almost apologize to him. For what? Someone asks. For arriving late. Another laugh, softer this time. She presses her thumb against her ring finger, as if counting invisible years. People expect a speech. They expect gratitude packaged in perfect sentences. Instead, she shrugs. I didn't plan it, she says. I stopped planning a long time ago. She doesn't describe the hospital room. Doesn't paint it in soft colors. Just a fragment. White sheets. A cry. Her breath catching. At 73, her hands are not the hands of a young mother. They are lined. They have held scripts, coffins, lovers' faces, steering wheels in the dark. Now they hold something new. Fragile. Warm. I thought I had already given my last lullaby, she says. A long pause. I was wrong. There is no attempt to balance joy with caution. No tidy reflection about life coming full circle. She is happy. And it confuses people. Because happiness at that age is supposed to be quiet. Contained. Measured. Not this. Not sudden. Not bright. I wake up tired, she admits. Of course I do. She leans back. But I also wake up curious again. Curious. Like she has been handed a question instead of an answer. The baby cries in another room. Or maybe that's only in her memory. She tilts her head, listening to something no one else hears. I am not afraid, she says suddenly. The room tightens. Not afraid of whispers. Not afraid of headlines. Not afraid of the arithmetic of age. I've buried friends, she says. I've buried parts of myself. She doesn't elaborate. Doesn't need to. The lines on her face do the talking. Then, softer. But this feels like a door I didn't know was still there. A door. Half open. Light spilling through. No grand announcement. No moral. Just a woman at 73, holding something she thought she had already finished holding. Her shoulders shake once. Not crying. Just overwhelmed by the absurdity of it. I get to start again, she whispers. And then she corrects herself. Not from the beginning. From here. From here. With gray hair. With stories that don't fit neatly into interviews. With a body that aches in the morning and a heart that refuses to retire. She reaches for a glass of water. Misses it slightly. Laughs at herself. I'll need help, she says. No pride in that. No shame either. Just fact. Outside the sun lowers. Inside, Her face glows in that thin gold light that makes everything look temporary. She doesn't talk about legacy, doesn't talk about proving anyone wrong. She only says, "He wrapped his fingers around mine." A breath. And I felt chosen. Chosen. At 73. The room doesn't know what to do with that. Neither does she. So she sits there, hands resting on her knees, listening, as if waiting for the next cry, or the next knock, or maybe nothing at all. The window is still open, evening sliding in without asking permission, a thin curtain breathing in and out. She doesn't move, her back straight, her hands resting on her thighs. The room waits, and then she says it again. "Here is my last child." Line break. Silence. No one claps. No one gasps. A glass somewhere touches wood. That's all. "Here is my last child." Not louder, not softer, just repeated, as if testing the shape of it. The sentence doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't defend itself. It stands there, like a chair in the middle of the room that no one dares to sit on. A throat clears. She doesn't look at anyone. Her gaze is fixed somewhere between the door frame and the fading light. "Here is my last child." Again. Short breath in. Nothing else. No explanation of time. No explanation of how. No arithmetic of years. Just the words. They fall. They don't shatter. They don't sparkle. They simply land. A woman at 73. A sentence that refuses to be polite. Someone whispers, "Last?" She doesn't answer immediately. Her jaw tightens. Then calmly, "Yes." One word. Heavy. Unadorned. "Yes." The clock ticks. It sounds louder now. "Here is my last child." She says it once more, almost to herself, as if reminding her own bones, as if convincing her own pulse. No story follows. No flashback. No neatly folded memory. Only that line, hanging in the air like laundry that hasn't dried yet. A chair creaks. She inhales. "I don't need to explain it." That's all she adds. Another pause. "I don't need to explain it." Her fingers interlace. They are steady now. "Here is my last child." The words are softer this time. Not fragile, just settled. Outside, a dog barks. Inside, no one interrupts. She lifts her chin slightly. "I thought I had finished." A small shrug. "I was wrong." She stops there. No lesson attached. No grand meaning wrapped around it like ribbon. "Here is my last child." The sentence becomes rhythm. Breath in. Breath out. Line. Silence. Line. Silence. She leans back. The light on her face shifts. "I am not apologizing," she says. Not defensive. Just clear. "I am not apologizing." The room absorbs that. A long second passes. "Here is my last child." The weight changes each time she says it. First surprise, then insistence. Now something closer to ownership. Mine. Last. Child. 3 simple words. Stacked. Unbalanced. Perfectly imperfect. A cup of tea sits untouched beside her. Steam gone. She glances at it but doesn't reach. "I have carried many things," she says quietly. Roles. Grief. Names people called her. But she doesn't list them. She doesn't open them up for inspection. "Here is my last child." The sentence returns, almost like prayer. Not religious, just repeated enough to feel sacred. Someone shifts closer. "You're happy?" A direct question. She looks at them. Finally. "Yes." Nothing more. No adjectives. No metaphors. "Yes." The honesty is almost abrupt. "Here is my last child." She doesn't smile when she says it this time. Her face is calm. Calm, like someone who has already argued with herself in private and won. A long breath leaves her lungs. "I wake up early now," she adds. "Earlier than I want." A faint corner of the mouth lift. "But I wake up." She stops. Doesn't expand. Doesn't narrate the mornings. Just that. "I wake up." The baby isn't in the room. Still, she tilts her head slightly, as if listening for something beyond walls. "Here is my last child." Again. This time almost a whisper. The words don't need volume anymore. They've already taken up space. A car door slams outside. Night presses gently against the glass. She rubs her palms together once. "I am 73, she says. No drama in it. Just a number placed on the table. And here is my last child. She lets the two facts sit side by side. No bridge between them. No attempt to smooth the distance. 73. Last child. Silence stretches. Comfortable for her, uncomfortable for others. I am not finished, she murmurs, almost under her breath. Then she corrects it. I am not finished yet. The room exhales slowly. She does not. She stays steady. Here is my last child. The sentence no longer shakes. It stands upright, like her, in the dim light, unapologetic. Still, she rubs her knees. 73. 73 is not a number you whisper. It's a number that clears its throat when you stand up. My back hurts in the morning, she says. Sometimes I sit on the edge of the bed and just wait. Wait for what? She doesn't say. The chair under her shifts a little. It's an old chair. Wood worn smooth where her hands have rested for years. 73. She says it again, as if the number might change if she looks at it long enough. I've lived, she says, a small shrug. I've lived a lot. Not dramatic, not proud, just stating weather. On the small table beside her there's a cup. Tea gone cold. A thin skin floating on top. She notices it, doesn't drink it. I used to rush, she says suddenly. Rush to rehearsals, rush to sets, rush to pick up the children. Children. She stops there. You can see something flicker across her face. Not sadness, just a sorting. At 73, you don't rush, she adds. You move carefully. You calculate stairs. She laughs at that. A short laugh, a little crooked. I count stairs now, she repeats. Silence. The kettle clicks in the kitchen again. No one gets up. Here is my last child. She says it without warning, like it slipped out before she could decide if it should. The sentence lands differently this time. Less sharp, more stubborn. 73. A life already thick with memories. She leans back and looks at the ceiling. I remember my first, she says, not elaborating. Just that. A memory moves across her face. Quick. Gone. There was a blue blanket, she murmurs. I think it was blue. She frowns slightly. Or maybe it was green. She waves her hand as if to dismiss the color. The color doesn't matter. The breathing mattered. She doesn't say that, but it's there. At 73, she repeats, you think you've seen everything. She taps her fingers on the arm of the chair. Tap, tap, stop. And then, she doesn't finish the sentence, just inhales. And then here is my last child. The words feel almost too big for the room. She shifts her weight. The chair creaks again. I thought that chapter was closed, she says. Closed, locked, put away in a box with old shoes and programs from plays nobody remembers anymore. I even gave away baby clothes, she admits, a tiny smile. I was very sure. Very sure. She nods at her own certainty, as if it was a person she once trusted. 73. Her hand moves to her chest, lightly. Not dramatic, just checking. My heart still jumps, she says. Can you imagine? It still jumps. She shakes her head, half amused, half confused. I get tired, she adds quickly. So tired sometimes. The honesty is plain. No polishing. I sit down more. I forget where I put things. I talk to myself. A small pause. I've always talked to myself. That one makes her smile properly. Outside, a motorbike passes. The sound fades. She looks toward the doorway again, listening. You know what surprised me? She says. Her voice drops. The smell. She closes her eyes for a second. That baby smell. She inhales, as if it's still there. At 73, I didn't think I'd smell that again. Her throat tightens slightly. She clears it. I didn't think my hands would learn that weight again. Hands. She lifts them and studies them. The veins, the spots, the history written in skin. These hands, she says softly, they've buried people. A beat. And now they hold him. No grand reflection follows, just that contrast. placed side by side. 73. She leans forward a little, elbows on knees. Sometimes I sit in that chair, she points to a corner, and I just listen to him breathe. She stops. It scares me. There, a crack in the steadiness. It scares me because I know time. She doesn't expand. Doesn't need to. We all know time. She rubs her palms together again. But also, she says slowly, it makes me feel needed. Needed. The word is almost shy. At 73, she repeats, people start talking about rest. She tilts her head. I don't want rest. Quick. Immediate. I want mornings. Another pause. I want the crying at 3 a.m. She laughs softly at herself. That's crazy, isn't it? No one answers. She shrugs. I've already done the long road, she says. I know heartbreak. I know loss. Her eyes drift to the window. I know how quiet a house can become. That line just sits there. She doesn't decorate it. 73. The tea is still cold. She finally reaches for it, takes a sip, makes a face. Cold, she mutters. A small, very human detail. She places it back down carefully. Here is my last child, she says again. Not announcing, not performing, just reminding herself. Her voice wavers slightly this time, just slightly. At 73, she whispers, I didn't think I would say that sentence again. She looks down at her hands. But I am saying it. A breath. I am saying it. The room feels smaller now, or maybe fuller. She doesn't tie the thoughts together. Doesn't draw a clean line from past to present. She just sits there. 73. A chair that creaks. A cup of cold tea. A memory of a blue, or green, blanket. And a woman repeating, almost to herself, here is my last child. The baby starts to fuss in the other room. Not a dramatic cry, just that small, restless sound. She hears it before anyone else does. Wait, she says, already pushing herself up from the chair. It takes her a second. Her knees don't cooperate immediately. She presses one palm against the table for balance. The cup rattles slightly. I'm coming, she calls out. Her voice changes when she says that. Softer, rounder. She walks slowly down the short hallway. Her slippers drag a little on the floor. The door to the baby's room is half open. A small lamp glows in the corner. The crib is white, paint chipped in one spot near the railing. She leans over carefully. There he is, eyes half closed, mouth open, one fist curled near his cheek. She doesn't speak for a second. She just stands there. Then she reaches down. Her fingers slide under his head. Careful, careful. She lifts him with both hands. Slow. He feels heavier than she expected. Or maybe her arms are just honest now. Ah, she murmurs. Ah, my boy. No poetry, just that. She presses her cheek against his hair. It smells like milk. And something warm. And something new. She closes her eyes. Her hand moves up to smooth the thin hair on his head. One stroke. Another. She looks at him for a long time. Not blinking much. Her mouth curves. A small smile. Then it trembles. She turns slightly, away from the crib. Her free hand comes up to her face. She wipes under her eye quickly, as if embarrassed to be seen. I'm fine, she mutters to no one. The baby squirms. She adjusts her hold. 73, she whispers into his ear. Can you believe that? He makes a small sound. She laughs softly. I didn't think I'd be changing diapers again. She shifts him onto her shoulder. Her palm rubs his back in small circles. Up, down, up, down. The rhythm is clumsy at first. Then it settles. She walks back into the living room with him pressed against her chest. The chair is still there, the cold tea still waiting. She lowers herself down carefully, one hand on the armrest, one holding him tight. A small sigh escapes her when she sits. Not sadness, just effort. She looks down at his face. His eyelids flutter. She touches the tip of his nose with her finger. So tiny, she says. Her thumb traces the curve of his ear. This is my last child, she murmurs again. Not to the room this time, to him. She studies his fingers, so small they barely wrap around the edge of her knuckle. He grabs her finger suddenly. firm, surprisingly strong. She freezes. Then she laughs. "Oh, you're serious?" She doesn't move her hand. Lets him hold on. She bends her head and kisses his forehead. A quick, gentle kiss. Then another. The skin there is warm. She adjusts the blanket around him, pulls it up, tucks it in under his chin. Not too tight. She checks twice. Her hand lingers on his chest, feeling it rise, fall, rise, fall. She watches that longer than necessary. The room is quiet except for that small breathing. Her back aches slightly. She shifts her weight. "Ah," she mutters under her breath. She doesn't complain, just adjusts. Her hand moves back to his hair, smoothing, smoothing again. She smiles. Then suddenly her face tightens. She turns her head away, her lips pressed together. She inhales sharply. Her free hand comes up. She wipes her cheek with the back of it. Quick, almost annoyed at herself. "I said I'm fine," she repeats. The baby makes a tiny hiccup sound. She looks back down at him immediately. There, she whispers. She leans forward and rocks slightly. The chair creaks. Back and forth, back and forth. She hums something under her breath. Not a full song, just a fragment. The tune breaks halfway. She forgets the next line. She chuckles at that. "I used to know all the lullabies," she says softly. Her thumb brushes the corner of his eye, gently wiping away a bit of moisture. He settles. His grip on her finger loosens but doesn't disappear. She watches his mouth move in sleep. A small twitch. She leans down again, kisses his forehead. Then she leans back. Her head rests against the chair. Her eyes close for just a second. Not fully asleep, just resting with him. 73. Her breathing matches his for a moment. In, out, in, out. She opens her eyes again. Looks down. Stares. Long, as if memorizing every detail. The curve of his eyebrow. The way his eyelashes cast tiny shadows on his cheeks. She brushes her thumb across his temple one more time. Slowly. "This is my last child," she says quietly. Her voice cracks on the word last. Just a little. She doesn't fix it. Doesn't try to smooth it out. She just sits there, holding him, watching him breathe. And every now and then, without thinking, she wipes her eyes again. The baby jerks awake and cries. Not the soft kind, sharp. She startles. Okay, she says too quickly. Her voice is not calm now. She shifts him, almost awkwardly. The blanket slips to the floor. She doesn't bend to pick it up. "Wait," she mutters, fumbling with the edge of her blouse. Her fingers aren't as fast as they used to be. The cry gets louder. A real cry. The kind that fills the whole house. "I'm here," she insists. But it takes her a second longer than she wants to admit. 73. Her shoulder aches from holding him. She switches sides. He cries harder at the movement. For a moment she closes her eyes. Just 1 second. Then she opens them again. I didn't think people say that sentence at this age. I catch myself thinking, here is my last child. At 73? Who says that? She does. The cry slowly softens. She rocks him, but not smoothly. It's uneven. Too fast, then too slow. Shh. Her lips are tight. This is not a polished moment. There's milk on her sleeve. A damp spot spreading. She notices. She sighs. Oh, for heaven's sake, she murmurs. Not angry, just tired. Very tired. The room smells faintly sour now. She reaches for a cloth on the table. Misses it. Reaches again. Finally wipes her sleeve. The baby hiccups. She exhales. Her hands are trembling slightly. Not from emotion, from effort. I forgot how loud they are, she says under her breath. No smile this time. The house feels smaller when he cries. Walls closer. Air thinner. 73. She leans back and stares at the ceiling for a second. I am not 20, she says plainly. No poetry in it. Her back hurts. Her wrists ache. She adjusts her grip again. The chair creaks loudly. She winces. The baby's cry breaks into smaller sounds, breath catching. She presses her cheek to his head. Her eyes close. Not peaceful, just concentrating. I didn't think I would do this again, she mutters. There's a sharpness in her voice now, almost irritation. With herself with time, with the body that doesn't move fast enough. Then suddenly she laughs, too loud for the quiet room. "This is ridiculous," she says. And she means it. Milk on her blouse, blanket on the floor, her slippers half off her heels. Ridiculous. The baby quiets, just like that, as if nothing happened. She stares at him suspiciously. "That's it?" She almost sounds offended. He blinks up at her. Calm. She shakes her head slowly. "I'm not built for this anymore," she says. But she doesn't put him down, doesn't call for help, doesn't stand. She just stays there, her breathing heavy now, sweat at the base of her neck. The lamp flickers once. For a moment, the room goes slightly darker. She doesn't react. She's too focused on the tiny hand clutching her finger again. He squeezes hard. Her expression changes. Not softened, not poetic, just startled. "Ah," she exhales. The tension leaves her shoulders a little. Not fully. Never fully. "I don't know what I'm doing," she admits quietly. There it is. Not graceful. Not wise. Just honest. 73. Her phone buzzes on the table. She ignores it. It buzzes again. She ignores it again. Right now, it's just her and this small weight on her chest. She leans forward slightly and finally picks up the fallen blanket with her foot, dragging it closer. She bends with effort. A small groan escapes her. She wraps the blanket around him again. Too tight. She loosens it. Too loose. She adjusts it again. Clumsy. Human. "I thought I would be calmer," she says. "I thought I'd be wise about it." She snorts softly. Wise! The word sounds strange in her mouth. The baby's eyes close slowly. She watches them close. Her own eyes fill suddenly. No warning. She turns her face away. I don't think at that age people expect tears for this reason. But there they are. She wipes them with the side of her hand, roughly this time. "Not delicate. I'm tired," she says. Plain. "I'm so tired." No balance follows. No bright sentence to counter it. Just that. Tired. And still holding him. Her head dips forward. For a second it looks like she might fall asleep sitting up. Then she jerks awake slightly. "No," she whispers. Stubborn. The room feels uneven now. Too quiet after the crying. Her chest rises and falls harder than his. She studies his face again, almost suspiciously. "You chose me late," she says to him. No smile. "Very late." She shakes her head slowly. "I don't know how long I get." The sentence hangs there, unfinished. She doesn't fix it. Doesn't turn it into hope or fear. It just stays. Her thumb moves across his eyebrow. Careful, careful. "This is my last child," she says again. But now it sounds less like announcement. More like a fact she's trying to memorize before it changes. The house is quiet again. Too quiet. She sits there in the dim light. Milk stain. Cold tea. Blanket slightly crooked. Her back aching. Her eyes red. And a 73-year-old woman holding a sleeping baby, like she's both terrified and unwilling to let go. The house smells faintly of powder and old wood. She doesn't light all the lamps anymore. Just one. Enough to see his face. 73. Her hand rests on his back. Skin thin. Veins like pale blue threads. The baby shifts. A small sigh. She bends closer. Her nose almost touches his cheek. No speech, just breath against breath. The clock says 2:17 a.m. She squints at it. Blames her eyes. Too bright, she mutters, though it isn't. The chair creaks when she rocks. Slow. Then uneven. She corrects it. Her thumb presses lightly between his shoulders. Up, down, up again. The room is small. The paint near the window is peeling slightly. She notices everything at this hour. 73. Her ankle swells a little when she sits too long. She shifts it carefully. A quiet wince. She doesn't look around to see if anyone noticed. There's no one here. The baby's lips move as if he's dreaming. She studies that, as if it's a message she might miss. Her other hand brushes her own hair back. Gray strands fall forward again. She exhales. "This is my last child," she whispers. Not loud enough to wake him, just loud enough to hear it herself. Last. The word stays in her mouth a second longer. She adjusts the blanket. one corner tucked, then retucked. The edge scratches her wrist, cheap fabric. She smooths it down anyway. On the table beside her, there's a pair of reading glasses, one lens smudged. She reaches for them, puts them on, looks down at him through glass. Still small, still real. She takes the glasses off again. 73. Her fingers hover near his ear. She traces the curve without touching, as if afraid to disturb the shape. The radiator clicks, a hollow sound. The baby's hand twitches. He grabs the air. She offers her finger immediately. He grips it. Tight. Her mouth tightens too. No tears this time. Just that grip. Her shoulder stiffens. She doesn't move it. She leans her head back against the chair. The ceiling has a faint crack running across it. She's never fixed it. She stares at that crack while holding him. 73. Her breath slows. The house is quiet in that particular way. Only very late nights are quiet. No cars, no neighbors. Just her, a wrinkled hand, a child, and the word last sitting somewhere between them. She shifts forward slightly and presses her lips to his hair again. Not a big kiss, just a touch. She lingers. Her hand cups the back of his head, careful not to press too hard. Her nails are short, unpainted. One is chipped. She notices it, almost laughs. I should fix that, she murmurs. She won't. Her foot taps the floor once, a habit from years ago. Waiting backstage, waiting for cues. Now she waits for him to settle deeper into sleep. 73. She shifts him slightly higher on her chest. A faint groan escapes her throat when she straightens her back. She doesn't comment on it, just breathes through it. The blanket slips again. She adjusts it without looking. Her movement slower now, measured. She studies his eyelashes, so light they almost disappear. Her thumb moves across his forehead once more. Gentle. A fly buzzes briefly near the lamp. She swats at the air lazily. Misses. Doesn't try again. This is my last child, she says again. Not louder, just steady. The word last, no longer sharp, just present. She leans forward and places him carefully back into the crib, both hands supporting him. Slow. She lowers him inch by inch. Her back tightens halfway through. She pauses, breathes, then finishes the movement. He stirs. She freezes. Waits. He settles. She keeps her hand on his chest a moment longer, feeling the rise. The fall. Rise. Fall. 73. She straightens up slowly. Her hand remains inside the crib, fingers curled slightly, as if not quite ready to pull away. Finally she does. Her hand looks older in the dim light. More lined, more fragile. She looks at it, then at him. No speech. Just that image. An old hand. A small body. Night pressing softly against the window. She picks up the fallen blanket from earlier and folds it once. Then unfolds it. Then leaves it draped over the chair instead. Her slippers scrape softly against the floor as she steps back. She doesn't turn off the lamp. She stands there a second longer than necessary. Watching? 73. Wrinkled hand. A child. And that word. Last. Morning comes too early. Not golden, not poetic. Just light pushing through the thin curtain like it has somewhere else to be. She's already awake. Of course she is. 73. Sleep doesn't stay long anymore. She sits at the edge of the bed, elbows on her knees. Her slippers are slightly misaligned on the floor. She reaches for them slowly, misses one, tries again. A small grunt escapes her. The baby cries from the other room, sharp, alive. I hear you, she calls out. Her voice is rough from the night. She stands carefully, one hand on the dresser, one hand against the wall. The hallway feels longer in the morning. She walks down it anyway. The baby's face is red when she enters. She leans over the crib. Ah, you're impatient, she murmurs. She lifts him. Not smoothly, but steady. His head lolls for a second. She adjusts her grip quickly. There, she whispers. Milk warms on the stove in the kitchen. She forgot she left it heating. A faint smell of almost burnt sweetness drifts in. Oh, she says, remembering. She walks back with him pressed to her shoulder. The floor is cool under her slippers. 73. She stirs the milk with one hand while holding him with the other. It splashes slightly onto the counter. She doesn't wipe it immediately. He cries again. She rocks in place, back and forth. Her shoulder muscles tremble. She ignores it. The milk is ready. She sits down heavily in the chair. The bottle clinks against the table before she catches it. Careful, she scolds herself softly. She feeds him. His small mouth latches on. Greedy, she watches. Nothing else exists for a moment. The way his fingers curl, the way his eyelids flutter. She touches his cheek with her thumb. A slow stroke. He pauses mid-drink. Looks up at her. Her breath catches. No words. Just that look. 73. A wrinkle deepens near her mouth as she tries not to smile too wide. You stare, she says. Just like the others did. She doesn't elaborate. She doesn't need to. The bottle empties slowly. She taps it gently to coax the last bit down. He finishes. A small milk line on his lip. She wipes it away with the edge of her sleeve. Not elegant, just practical. She lifts him upright. Pats his back. 1, 2, 3 times. A loud burp breaks the quiet. She laughs. Really laughs. Short. Surprised? Well then, she says. The day moves like that. Uneven. A diaper change where she fumbles with the tabs. A moment when she realizes she put the diaper on backward. She shakes her head at herself. 73, she mutters. Not as excuse. Just fact. Her hands are slower now. But they are careful. Very careful. At noon, she sits near the window. The baby sleeping in her lap. Outside, someone cuts grass. The smell drifts in faintly. She leans her head back against the wall. Her eyes close for a second. Then open again. She doesn't trust sleep during the day. Not fully. Her hand rests flat against his chest, feeling that steady rise and fall. 73. The skin on her hand folds when she bends her fingers. She studies it briefly. Then she looks back at him. No comparison. Just looking. He makes a soft, sighing noise. She bends forward and presses her lips to his forehead. Lingers. Her nose brushes his skin. She inhales deeply. Milk. Powder. Warmth. I didn't think I'd smell this again, she whispers. The afternoon stretches. She moves slowly from chair to kitchen to hallway. Her steps careful. Her back straightening and bending and straightening again. The house is not big. Still, it feels full. 73. She stands by the sink washing a small bottle. Water runs over her fingers. Wrinkled skin under clear water. The baby stirs in the other room. She dries her hands quickly on a towel. Walks back. He is awake. Eyes wide. Watching the ceiling. She lifts him again. Always lifting. Her arms protest quietly. She doesn't respond to them. She carries him to the living room. Sits. The chair creaks in its familiar way. She rocks him gently. This time smoother. Practice returning. The sun lowers outside. Light changes from white to something softer. The room grows warmer in color. 73. Her hair catches the light. Gray strands glowing faintly. She adjusts him closer to her chest. His head fits under her chin. Her arms wrap around him fully now. Not awkward. Not hesitant. Just firm. She looks toward the window. The curtain moves slightly in the evening breeze. The air cools. She stands and walks slowly toward the open window. Her steps deliberate. Careful not to trip on the edge of the rug. She stops there. Holds him tighter. The sky outside is turning pale orange. A bird crosses quickly in the distance. She doesn't speak. Doesn't repeat the sentence again. No explanation. No balance. Just this. 73. A wrinkled hand curved protectively over a small back. A baby pressed against her chest. The window half open. Evening air touching her face. She adjusts her hold once more. Brings him closer. Cheek against his hair. The light fades slowly. She doesn't move. Evening fell. The window was slightly ajar. She held the baby close to her chest. She said nothing more.